Good morning. Good morning. You know, I was thinking while we were doing that old thing, how it changes. You notice how it changed a little bit? And I remember back in, when I was a singer, back in the beer drinking ages and that, because that's the only time I really sang a lot. But there was a particular song that every time we sang it, something felt different inside, and I didn't know why until I come into this teaching. And that was Home on the Range. Anybody ever sing that?
Yeah.
You ever notice how it give you a different kind of feeling and you never knew why? Well, that's why. Anyhow, I thought I'd throw that one in there because it made a difference for me. So I'm going to start with an opening meditation here. So I'll invite you to follow Anthony in the lead in. And as we join together in consciousness, we are opening to receive the wisdom from the divine. I declare for myself, as I declare for each one here, that I know there is only one intelligence, one life, one power, and that is God. And that power is not separate from me. It's a part of who and what I am, who and what we all are, each expressing it individually in our own unique way. And today I know that there is always enough of what it is that we need, and there's always enough opportunity to expand and grow, and there is always enough potential to experience things that we have never ever dreamed of before or never thought possible, as we turn to recognize that we live in a spiritual world and a spiritual universe. In the words of Eckhart Tolle, acknowledging the good you already have in your life is the foundation for all abundance. So I invite you to take a few moments to reflect on all the good you have in your life and to be grateful for it and to be thankful for it. this calm, peace, and stillness. I know that the foundation of abundance is always about being grateful for what I am, what I have, and what I can do. And I know that as I focus on this, it creates a foundation which can bring to me, by means of me and through me, unique experiences that I never ever dreamed of or thought possible. So with this in mind, we enter into today's session with an open and receptive mind, knowing that goodness prevails. And we give thanks for that. We know it is so. And so it is. This month's theme for Unity is abundance, and the affirmation is, the consciousness of prosperity fills my mind and overflows into my affairs. And I added to that a quote by Eric Butterworth, God is my instant, constant, and abundant source of supply. A little commercial here, folks. I've often polled some of the top leaders in the movement of CSL and people I know with many years' experience. What's the top 5 books that you recommend people read or made a difference in your life? And in the top 5 is a book called Spiritual Economics by Eric Butterworth of Unity. If you haven't got it and you haven't read it, it's a must, in my humble opinion. It's got all the wisdom of what we're talking about in there today. So I'm going to talk about 3 things today. Abundance, there is always enough of what you need. The 3 steps to create more abundance. And prosperity and money. How about that? Sounds a good one, eh? So, you know, Marianne Williamson said, the key to abundance is meeting limited circumstances with unlimited thought. Dennis Merritt Jones said, abundance follows a grateful heart. And Plato says, a grateful mind is a great mind, which eventually attracts to itself great things. So, a lot of times people ask, why do I keep getting what I don't want? Is anybody getting what they don't want here? Anybody? Okay, now there's only 2 reasons why that's happening. Are you ready for this? And we'll see if it gets you a little zinger. One is because of what you're looking for or what you desire, and you may have a block inside yourself that needs to be addressed and cleared. So the Spirit gives you that experience to be able to do that. And that's why it appears that you're getting what you don't want. Actually, in that case, you're getting what you need in order to get what you want. And then there's the other one. Are you ready for this? If you're getting what you don't want, it's because of your stinking thinking. We need to give ourselves a checkup from the neck up type of deal, because those are the only two reasons why it appears that we're getting what we don't want. And so we need to look at those things that we don't want and say, is this God giving me a gift to find out what I need to do and what I need to learn? Or is there something inside of me that's saying no to what I want? And that's I am worthy. Anthony nailed that one right up. And I always say in there that my favorite thing is your attitude plus your choice equal your consequences. And of course, when I first started in this 44 years ago, that was my main thing that come to me. And that's what, over the years, I've worked with 40, 50,000 young people in groups and things like that in different scenarios. And that's the thing I talk to them about. Your attitude plus your choice equals your consequences. And if you change your attitude, you change your experience. Just ask me, did you ever think when I was going through all that stuff Bob talked about, which is only about 17 years of my life, that I would be a minister, a college professor, a mountain tour guide, or a professional Santa? No, and if you'd have told me that, I would have said some words to you that would indicate that you need to get professional help. So never, ever underscore the possibility of what you can draw to you in order to fulfill something that you have inside of you that wants to move forward and experience more. And, well, I don't know what that is. Well, do you think I knew any of that stuff? The answer is no, but that's what come. And has it been worth following? The answer to that is yes, you see. I could have never imagined. But when one is willing to step outside that box of limited past restrictions and conditions and circumstances, and be willing to follow the guidance of Spirit, no matter how ridiculous it seemed, it'll take you to great places. I remember the second time I went to, it was the Center of Positive Living at that time. I was guided there in a dream, and I'm sitting there listening to the talk. I was just absolutely enthralled by what the speaker was saying. It was Dr. Herman Afting, great man, great speaker, great teacher. And I'm sitting there and I'm going, wow, I like this stuff. It's going to give me something really neat to do. And then the voice says, Doug, you're going to enjoy being a minister. Whoa, whoa, whoa. That set me right back. I'm going, well, how can that be? I'm just finishing up with a cocaine and addiction and a drug problem, and I'm in a gang that I got to get myself out of, and I got to go to court in March for trafficking, and I'm looking at 2 to 5 in prison. I mean, did you think that statement sounded ridiculous? And then the voice said, again, Doug, you're going to enjoy being a minister. And I knew it wasn't me saying that. And I said, okay, well, if that's it, I guess show me how. So you never know what you're going to get to give you abundance. And it may not be anything that you think. It may be something different, totally, that's absolutely off the wall. All you got to do is say yes to it and be prepared to do what is necessary to do to become the person that is necessary to become, to have the experience that you desire to have. Is it worth following? I got to tell you, especially the voice said, well, it was that voice there who said, you're going to be a Santa Claus. Yeah, I'm like, okay. I thought Anna had taken up drugs when she suggested that. But guess what? So there's only 2 reasons why you're getting what you don't want. Either you need to change your attitude and your thinking, or you got something there to learn. Now, the 3 steps to creating more abundance. Dennis Merritt Jones said, the art of abundance, from his book, remember that being in the flow means wisely accepting or receiving, utilizing or using, and extending or giving it or releasing. the energy of abundance, irrespective of the form in which it comes to you. So that's a cycle, 3-pronged, okay? And it don't matter how good you are in 2 out of 3, if you're not good in one of them, it blocks the flow. It can't go like that. It's a circle. And we really need to look at those, and I'll just give you a little quick talk about that. Giving is giving without attachment. No attachment to what the person does. No attachment to what they say or don't say. How many times have you given somebody something they never said, this? Look, I don't know what I'm going to do with this trash. And you go, wow, they at least could have been grateful and said thank you. Has anybody ever done that? You see, that's not giving. I remember one of the lessons I got on that. Well, I had these 2 people in my church at Red Deer Center. Beautiful people, great givers. And you know, I always struggled with Dunlap's disease, you know. Anybody know that? Your belly Dunlap's over your belt? And at the time I was doing that, it was just over 400 pounds. And they gave me for Christmas this great big box of top-end British toffee. And I went home and I lost it. How can they do that? Give that to me when I look at this, I don't want to blah, blah, blah. Look, I mean, then I got, I got into this. I guess I'm not receiving properly. So I had to change my attitude about that. About giving and receiving, okay? When you're receiving it, it doesn't matter what it is. Be grateful, be thankful, and if it's not something that is for you, pass it on. We just did that at Christmas. We got this lady that I'm working on a project with bought a nice box of really expensive cookies and stuff like that. Same thing, I don't do a lot of that stuff anymore. I don't need it. And so we just gratefully accepted it and gave it to someone else. But the giving is no attachment to outcome. It doesn't matter what the person does with it. It doesn't matter if they take it, give it away, throw it in the garbage, scoff at you. That's not your problem. That's their problem. Our problem comes if we're upset because we're attached to them and saying, well, at least they could have been grateful and said thank you. They don't have to be. Just like when you give of your money for tithing here. You give and let it go. What the organization does with it is none of your business. Basically. Because that's not giving. Giving without attachment. And then receiving. Graciously receiving it. And moving it forward and moving it on. But here's the other one that most people don't even think about that's part of that cycle. Utilizing, because you receive, utilize, give, it's all part of the same circle. So when you're utilizing your resources, it doesn't matter what. How do you do it when you get your bills at the end of the month? Are you grateful? Thank God somebody gave me my electricity for a whole month. That's a sore spot. For a whole month. And I had use of it, and I'm grateful that I can pay for it. Might be a stretch sometimes. So you got to look at the bills differently. Especially the Visa or MasterCard bills, because, hey, you're the one that charged it. You're the one that got the use of it. Be grateful that you have that. Always be grateful when you're utilizing whatever it is that you get, whatever the resource it is, you know. We sold a car to our grandson about a couple of years ago for $1 because, you know, to help him out. And then he had our first great-grandchild, a great-granddaughter, and the car was having problems and he didn't have money to fix it and that. So, you know, what we did was we got into the abundance. Okay, well, that's simple. I just happened to have some resources come my way. So I bought my honey a brand new car off the lot, and we gave her car to the grandson and bought the same one we sold to him for $1, bought it back for $1, so now I got it fixed up so I can use it around town. Circulation and flow, okay? It's always about circulation and flow. In Romans 12:2, St. Paul said, "And be not conformed to this world, but be ye transformed by the renewing of your mind, that ye may prove what is good and acceptable and the perfect will of God." So we got to transform and change our mind, change our thinking. And it's really easy to slip back into the old way. Does anybody do that? Yeah, it's like that. It's just like dealing with your family. So now you're making all these changes and you're a new person, and you go to see them and they try to slot you back into that same old pigeonhole. And, you know, at first we buy into it, and boom, we're right back there and we go, oh my God, I'm right back where I started. Anybody have that happen? Yeah, and that's the real trick in the business, is to know that, you know, people that you know, in particular family you know in a long time, they're not going to relate to the new you. So they're going to try and put you back into the pigeonhole. Do you think that my family started relating to me when I was taking ministerial classes, when I was in the biker gang for 10.5 years? It was a little hard for them to accept. The boys in the club accepted it a lot better than my family and friends did. Because they just knew I was kind of weird and different anyhow. So this was just a different career. And by the way, I'm still connected with a lot of those guys. I do a lot of work for them and services because, you know, everybody needs spiritual counseling or guidance or marriages or death help. And that's just the way it is. Okay? And here, watch this. I like what Eric Butterworth says about the taker and the giver. The taker is a person who believes that his life will always be the total of what he can get from the world. He is always thinking, get. He plans and schemes ways to get what he wants in money, love, and in happiness, and in all kinds of good. And there's lots of takers. Maybe we've been one ourselves, but we all know. Anybody know a taker? Yeah. And the giver, on the other hand, is convinced that life is a giving process. You can't outgive God. Thus, his subtle motivation in all ways is to give himself away in love, in service, and in the many helpful ways he can, invest in himself. He is always secure, for he intuitively knows that his good flows from within. Wow. So remember, there are 3 steps: giving, receiving, and utilizing. And we have to work at all 3 of those. And it's not with, well, the big things. It's with all the little things. Because the little things make the big things. And it's in every day-to-day activity. I know it works, and I used to give attitude, and I got attitude. Does anybody ever do that? Now, the other thing with abundance is prosperity and money. And so one of the examples that is always given is there's a waterfall of money. And that waterfall is there. What would I take to utilize that? Would I take a thimble, a cup, a pail, or would I take a water truck to fill? Not many people say they take a water truck to fill because that's just too much. Hey, take a water truck, fill it, then you can give it away. Okay? So there's no limitation on what you can receive. And don't put one on. Just be open and receptive to receiving whatever the Spirit delivers. Because that's the key. In spiritual economics, Eric Butterworth says these statements about prosperity is not so much a condition in life as it is an attitude towards life. It is a way of living and thinking, not just money and things. It's spiritual well-being. It's not just having things, it's the consciousness that attracts the thing. I can remember when I was going along in this, I was in year 16 and 17, and something happened to me. I guess I needed a learning experience, but what happened to me is I burned out, totally. I lost my center that I'd started. I lost all my money. I lost my car. I lost my home. I went bankrupt. I had nothing. I had to rent a room. For the first time in my life, I had to rent a room. And I remember one day, the only place I could go without panic and anxiety attacks was into the mountains. And if you've ever been to Lake Louise, there's that big mountain on the left there. It's called Fairview Mountain. And I was sitting up there, you know. I had enough, I had a rent-a-wreck, and I had enough money for gas, and I had my lunch, and I'm sitting up there contemplating my situation of nothingness and prosperity. And you know, I looked down below, and there were, you know, 5,000, 6,000, 7,000 people hovering around the lake. And I'm up there looking at it, and I thought, you know, those folks are paying thousands of dollars to come and see this. And here I am with a half a tank of gas and my lunch, and I got it for that. That is prosperity right there. And it was all around me. It's all around us all the time. It doesn't matter what our condition is, because conditions come and conditions go, right? We've all been down at the bottom or up at the top. It's about perspective and how we see it and what we do with it. And I was so grateful, and I thought, you know, I didn't know at that time what I was going to do with the rest of my life and where I was going to go, what I was going to do. And I thought, you know, if this is the only thing I ever get to do was to be able to hike around and travel around the mountains, because I can never go anywhere else or do anything else, it isn't really that bad. It was beautiful. I did 765 kilometers and 73 day trips that year. Most of it I did by myself, and I went to places where there are no other people. So prosperity has nothing to do with money. Money is simply a tool. Prosperity is a state of consciousness. In case people give you stuff, you don't need money for it. Anybody got stuff that was really nice and valuable, you didn't get any money for it, no money involved. I come across this quote that I really loved from the company called Love Tales. And I'm going to close with this. If you spend your time chasing butterflies, they will fly away. But if you spend your time making a beautiful garden, the butterflies will come to you. So when you focus in on proving yourself, everything you want will come to you. We attract based on who we are, not what we want. Don't chase, attract. So I know for you, as I know for myself, that from our discussion today, there's something here that inspires each one of us and motivates each one of us to move forward in right action. And the goodness is automatically ours. So I know it, I accept it, and I let it be so, and so it is.